Hi everyone, this is John. Welcome to our weekly show, The Subcontinent. We are here to bring light to some of the most important issues affecting the region. Along with an in-depth analysis of the topics and perspectives from regional and international experts, we shall review what key players think and what the common people have to say. In this edition of The Subcontinent, we shall review how the world's so-called largest democracy has dropped 10 places in the annual democracy index published by The Economist. And we shall also look into how the diplomatic rift between India and Pakistan has affected the entertainment industries and artists from both countries. India, one of the world's largest so-called democracies, is facing a democratic credibility problem as seen in the 2019 Global Democracy Index. Is this surprising? Absolutely not. Critics have been vocal about how the Hindu nationalist Modi government stripped the autonomy of Kashmir and how they arrested, beat, and even killed people protesting an anti-Muslim citizenship law. And to be honest, if people are often lynched and even burned alive, it certainly raises doubt.
Democracy is by far the most challenging form of government, both for politicians and for the people, where a constitution guarantees basic personal and political rights, fair and free elections, and independent courts of law. If such, that also fits the notion of a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Are these true in the current scenario, as over 1/3 of the world's population live under authoritarian rule, including in India, a country long remembered as the world's largest democracy? The Economist Intelligence Unit's Democracy Index has recently provided a snapshot of the state of democracy worldwide in 167 countries. For many, it was not surprising to see India dropping 10 places to 51st and was in the second category of flawed democracy. India has just celebrated its 71st Republic Day, which marks the official adoption of the country's constitution that widely emphasizes its democratic ethos. So, what are the reasons behind this democratic regression? There are some deficiencies inherited from the past, but issues taken by the right-wing Hindu nationalist government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi since its rise to power. Rising mob lynching and communal violence against minority Muslims are just the tip of the iceberg during the current government, and even when Modi was at the helm of Western Gujarat state, where law enforcers were inactive to control the massacre of Muslims at the hands of Hindu fanatics. In late 2019, the government stripped the disputed Kashmir region of its special status by abrogating Article 370 and 35A. Ahead of the move, the government deployed a large number of troops in the state, imposed various other security measures, and placed local leaders under house arrest, including those with pro-India credentials. The government also imposed a clampdown on the internet.
They are snatching our democracy by shutting down the internet. We are not getting the news also, because there are so many medias who are not sharing the actual news.
Then the government brought in the Citizenship Amendment Act and proposed to conduct a nationwide national register of citizens to give citizenship to illegal immigrants from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh if they are not Muslim.
This particular law and other related provisions which are likely to come in, like CAA or NRC, may actually restrict this equality and create a sense of differences between people.
Some argue that India is rapidly turning into an authoritative Hindu state due to the influence of Hindu nationalist groups like the RSS, of which Modi and many other BJP leaders have been active members of. Fear now haunts more than 200 million Muslims of India, but many Indians are still hopeful as millions still protest BJP's Hindu nationalist policies.
Is India really turning undemocratic? For many academics and experts, the 2019 Global Democracy Index doesn't come by surprise, as these measures and overall erosion of civil liberties have hammered India's democratic credibility. The ruling BJP and its supporters think that it is a media conspiracy to denigrate India. But World Freedom House, Economic Freedom Index, World Press Freedom Index all are showing a downward trend in India. There is no need for these international bodies to work with a particular bias toward India, which has fallen from 27th to 51st position on Democracy Index in just 5 years. It is for India to take notice, analyze and take corrective action.
The regional and international media have also been following the state of democracy in India. Let's see how the situation is developing for them.
India was graded 8.67 in electoral process and pluralism, 6.79 in government functioning, 6.67 in political participation, 5.63 in political culture, and 6.76 in civil liberties. India's 2019 score was also the lowest on record since The Economist began compiling figures on global democracy in 2006. The world must worry. What happens in India happens to nearly 1/5 of the world's population. India was included in the flawed democracy category. India's 200 million Muslims fear the Prime Minister is building a Hindu state.
For more insight on this story, we now have activist and commentator Rafiq Katwari. Mr. Rafiq Katwari, welcome to our show. The first question that I want to ask you is, India's democracy index is lower than it has been since 13 years. Do you think that India is becoming an authoritative Hindu state rather than a secular and democratic one like Gandhi envisioned?
Yes, the short answer is yes. It was not just Gandhi. Gandhi envisioned an India of truth and non-violence, and we are very far from that. What's happening in India is they are trying to define citizenship based on your religion, and your religion is your private affair with your God, and that should not be the basis of citizenship. That is why 200 million Muslims in India are threatened by this new law, this new citizenship law. And 200 million is a very large figure. It makes India the second largest Muslim nation in the world, next only to Indonesia, where there are 265 million, and Pakistan, which calls itself the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, has less Muslims than India does. You have to remember, and your viewers have to remember, that India was formed as a secular, socialist, democratic republic. And you can take away the secular, socialist, and democratic. India is basically, at the moment, a republic. There is no, the secularism in India is under a grave threat. There is no socialism in India because there are millions and millions and millions of people who don't have a roof over their head, and India is a destination for arms merchants. So that takes away the socialist part of it. If socialism means anything, it means the protection of the minorities, protection of people who have fallen through the safety nets. There are no safety nets in India anyway. So along with that, one has to remember that these poor people are being told to produce documents showing that they are born and raised and are citizens of India.
Thank you, that was spot on. Let's move towards the social media for a while, and then we'll come back to another question. those were some of the views of the public. Thanks for waiting. Now, moving to the last question. Modi and other BJP leaders are still probably members of the RSS group. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh has been accused of openly pushing the agenda of Hindu nationalism. What role do you think that the RSS plays in influencing the state of affairs in India today?
Very large role, very influential. BJP is a party that is beholden to the parent organization, the RSS. The RSS is a global organization funded by the diaspora. It has over 500,000 young people who have been brainwashed. Is Modi a member of the RSS? He was an apartheid of the RSS. His soul, he is beholden to them. If they don't like him, they can get him out. But they are the ones who control the BJP. They draw their inspiration from Hitler and Mussolini. It was an RSS guy who assassinated Gandhi. And Gandhi saw the ominous nature of this organization. It was formed in 1924. He saw the ominous nature, and he said he is not sure whether India can also be a victim of this moth-like creature and moth-like circle. So, to answer your question, yes, Modi is beholden to the RSS. They are the same thing. Okay, the RSS wanted Modi to be there, who says that he has a degree in entire political science. Okay, so they can control people like Modi. And he is enormously vain person.
All right, thank you, Mr. Katwari, for being on our show, and very shocking and revealing comments, I must say. Now, viewers, don't go anywhere. We are going to continue with the show, and let's see what's forward. For years, the entertainment industries of India and Pakistan bonded people of both the countries together. Everything was working well as singers and actors from both the countries would work across the border for different projects. Then, in 2016, thanks to the Hindu nationalist government and right-wing groups of India, Pakistani artists were banned to work in India. And in 2019, Pakistan banned all Indian media content in response to India's actions in Kashmir.
Stop the car!
India-Pakistan tensions often spill over into the two countries' entertainment industry, especially in India's Bollywood and Pakistan's Lollywood.
Correct!
For years, the entertainment industries of India and Pakistan bonded people across the borders together. Everything was working well as singers and actors from both countries would work across the border on different projects. Then, in 2016, thanks to the Hindu nationalist government's rise to power, Pakistani artists were banned to work in India.
जिन actors की बात हो रही है अभी, they are not terrorists and we all know that. And they are coming in with proper permissions, with proper visa, work permit. So that's all.
I think, of course, we should attack the terrorists for sure, but not attack the artists and the cricketers. That's about it.
In 2019, Pakistan placed a ban on the screening of all Bollywood films in cinemas across the country after Indian air raids further escalated tensions between the South Asian neighbours. In the past, the cultural collaboration between the two had seen on the rise, with Bollywood stars appearing in commercials aired on Pakistani TV. Musicians from both countries collaborating on Studio, a television series featuring live music performances, and Pakistani soap operas gaining a loyal fan base across the border. The fandom was large enough that Bollywood started casting Pakistani television stars in movies. So who are paying the price of political tensions between elites sitting in Islamabad and New Delhi? Of course, the ordinary citizens. While India and Pakistan have, times and again, insisted on cultural ties, their diplomatic tensions have hampered such contacts. The recent escalation of tensions over the disputed Kashmir region has aggravated the situation, with India and Pakistan engaging in the worst military conflict, with cross-border firing still ongoing and Pakistan's airspace remaining partially closed. The tension has even stoked nationalist sentiment on both sides, with some actors openly favouring the ban. This is not the first time both the countries have dragged their entertainment industries into rift. This social exchange halted after Pakistan banned Indian media content due to the 1965 war between the two. The ban was lifted after 40 years in 2005, but the period was seen as the darkest years for Pakistani entertainment industry, as many cinemas closed down and local films were mostly met with few audiences. But all that has changed again. Hostility between the two countries has escalated amid renewed tensions, and a surge of nationalism has spread to the entertainment industry, and it's unlikely relations between the two neighbors will improve anytime soon.
Even though viewership and profits were affected, some say that the real harm was done to the socio-cultural bond between both the neighboring rivals. The future, however, is vague in terms of how all of this would unfold and whether the Pakistani media industry would take the advantage of the vacuum left by Bollywood.
There is a question as to whether Pakistani film industry could survive and sustain again, seeing that before the ban, according to some estimates, 60 to 70% of Pakistan's film industry revenue was earned through Indian films. Indian films and celebrities might still be followed in Pakistan through internet and social media, but Pakistani film industry might also sustain this time without Bollywood. Undoubtedly, Bollywood has long been a way to thaw the frosty relations between the two countries, and it is also a huge business. Indian films make more than $10 million in annual receipts in Pakistan. The country is the number 3 foreign market for Indian movies after the US and the UAE. And for many Pakistani theatres, Bollywood movies account for more than half their revenues. So the impact of such tension is reciprocal and hurting the movie business in both countries, and threatens a major area of culture Indians and Pakistanis share.
Recent bans have outpoured mixed reactions from the world. Let's look at the cyberspace for more.
All India Cine Workers Association announced a total ban on Pakistani actors and artists working in the film industry. Bollywood has all too often found itself the easy target of governments hoping to make a point. Interestingly, there are a few who are refraining from taking a stand and choose to keep themselves away from getting into any controversy. Movies on both sides of the border have also been hit by soaring relations. The tit-for-tat measures come amid deteriorating relations between the two countries.
Now let's bring in Mr. Mohammad Amir Rana from Pakistan Institute for Peace Studies to share with us his analysis. Mr. Rana, in 2016, Indian Motion Picture Producers Association banned Pakistani actors, singers and technicians from working in India. Do you think that was justified?
Yeah, this was unfortunate that how the Indian film industry sometimes come under the influence of their governments and the ongoing politics, and they took these kind of the measures, which is of course which hurt the whole industry, film industry in India, because the Pakistani singers, technicians are quite popular, and they have very positive contribution in Indian cinema and in Indian music industry. So this is a political influence which had worked on Indian artists, and this is also unfortunate. Sometimes the Indian and Pakistani actors, they also take the political positions. And this is particularly when the political position taken by the actors, the artists, the musicians, the singers. So this is somehow also trigger the hatred in the region. In India and Pakistan, we have tradition that artists has played a very important role bringing the people together. And even in the worst times, these were the artists, the poets. They acted as a peace activist. And if someone from India or even Pakistan, from art and cinema industry, are become the tool of the hater, I think this is unfortunate, and this is also complicate the political scenarios in South Asia.
Thank you for that answer. Now let's go towards the social media and see what the people have to say first, and then we'll come back. Those were some of the comments of the people who showed mixed reactions. Mr. Rana, now coming back to the show, why do you think Pakistan has banned Bollywood? And do you think it acted out of moral conscience or political tensions?
Yeah, I think it was a political decision made by the Pakistani authorities, and we know the context, what had happened in Kashmir last year, and even we had seen the tension on the line of control between India and Pakistan, and the growing hatred in India, and all these citizenship bill, and which is influencing the broader South Asian regions. So this is the multiple political reasons were behind banning the Indian movies, and I think it is even is a deep-rooted issue. It's related to the identity of the both nations. And this is, if we can trace their roots in the cultural exceptionalism, and Pakistan and India both try to be detached from each other in the identities context.
Now, how do you think the ban has affected the Pakistani and Indian film industries economically? Do you think that the argument is fair that this decision of India and Pakistan has given space for Pakistani media industry to grow, or otherwise?
Yeah, I think it's mainly hurt the Pakistani cinemas more. Obviously, we can't say that it hasn't caused the losses to Indian film industry. Of course, Pakistan is a big market for the Indian movies. But if you look at in the Pakistani cinemas, we already lacking the local movies. So the production level is quite low. We produce only the 7 to 8 movies per year, which isn't enough to run the whole year circles. Of course, this is more damaging for Pakistani cinemas.
Thank you, Mr. Rana, for sharing your opinion on this, and really important that we address this today. With this, we sign off our program. Follow us on our social media platforms to stay updated. We will meet the same time, same day next week. Thanks for watching.